Hello.
Hey, Brad, Marty.
Hey, Marty.
Hey, can we get you in here for the commission meeting via phone?
Yes, please do.
Okay, well, it'll be starting in a few minutes and we need your votes, so
Okay.
appreciate it.
I hope it stays online and I don't cut out service. So that call me back if it does.
We're gonna try to hurry through the agenda.
Get to your highest point.
Tunnels.
No. Where are you, Brad?
I want to sit here.
Okay. I will definitely do that, yeah. And hopefully we don't have to have a recess. I don't want to have to figure that out. Yeah, when this, I'll hand you a little cheat sheet here too. Good evening and welcome to the Cedar Falls Planning and Zoning Commission for this Wednesday, July 24th, 2019. Can we have the roll? Karen?
Atkins. Here. Hartley. Holst.
Here.
Larson. Leeper.
Here.
Mr. Leeper's on the phone with us tonight. Prideaux.
Here.
Saul.
Here.
Wingert.
Here.
Thank you. Our first item of business today is the approval of the commission meeting minutes from the July 10th, 2019 meeting. Do I have a motion or any corrections?
I move to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 That's unanimous, that carries. At this point, I would open the floor for any public comments for anybody wanting to talk to the commission about any item that's not on the agenda tonight? Seeing none, we will move on from public comments. There is no old business tonight, and on our new business calendar, we have the PC2 District Site Plan Review, and Shane, I believe that's one you're introducing?
Thank you. Yeah, what we have tonight before the commission is a site plan review in the PC2 Planned Commercial District for a new site plan for a new commercial building. This one's addressed at 918 Viking Road. This is actually part of an overall development which will include 5 different buildings. So this property might seem familiar to most of the commission members. Back in 2016, there was an overall site plan approved which included a large gymnasium building and then 4 outbuildings. What we had asked of the developer at the time was when they were ready to build those outbuildings to come back through the Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council for a site plan approval of each of the individual buildings to make sure that they still conform with what the original plan showed, and it gives the commission the chance to review the design and everything like that. So what's before the commission tonight is actually building number 4 out of 5. 3 of the buildings, one of the buildings is already complete, 2 of the buildings are still under construction. They're looking to approve this one, and then there'll be 1 more remaining to go. This is the overall development plan that the commission saw back in 2016. Again, the main building there, the gymnasium building, is currently still under construction. The building in blue is what's being proposed. That would be at the kind of on the eastern side of the property, next to the finished building. That finished building includes an Athletico office, and then also, I believe, a new salon. And then at the west side, northwest corner of the property, there is a building that's currently under construction now. So then that 5th and final building will go on the west side directly across the property from this proposed building. Again, this is a close-up of the site plan of the building. After this site plan went through, the developer did come and plat this into separate lots. So each of these buildings do sit on their own separate lot. This property does include area for 37 parking stalls. However, they do have a shared parking agreement and access agreement to share and also allow access across the entire site. Again, when this was looked at back in 2016, as far as the parking calculations, the entire site, including the gym and the 4 outbuildings, met the overall parking requirement. So nothing is changing as far as the layout and the parking goes. This is a paving plan. They've done the paving of the parking lot in stages as they've built the buildings. You can kind of see they color-coded this one. It's a little hard to see, but right in front of the building, it's a kind of a dark blue or purple-looking shade. They're going to wait to pave that until the building's done, only because that's right in front of the building, so they want to make sure they get everything constructed before they pave that. The areas in green have already been paved, and then the area in what looks like it's red will be paved prior to construction of this building. So they're actually planning to get that paved fairly soon here. And then there's an area of teal, which is some future paved area, which would be kind of next to the gymnasium building. So in all, it looks like they're moving ahead with their plans for the paving. We'll have most of it paved, other than just the small area of parking in front of the building, which we'll do right after construction of the building. As far as the building design, this building design looks very similar to the other buildings that were previously approved. This will have room for 2 different tenants. The front of the building has a mix of corrugated metal siding, wood lap siding, split face block, and then windows and doors. Again, this looks very similar to the other 2 buildings that are complete, and actually the front of the gymnasium building will have some retail stores. This has a similar design. So again, this was something that the commission and staff wanted to make sure that was being followed through with each of the new buildings, that it was following the same design pattern as the other buildings, which this one does. Again, these are side elevations of the building, again, with the block, the siding and the glass. Again, looks very similar to the existing buildings that are there now. And at the time that they submitted their overall plan, they did submit an overall landscaping plan, but now with these individual buildings, they're showing just some of the individual landscaping around. They're showing some trees within their parking area and then some trees around the building and in front of the building. Again, pretty much follows kind of what was approved with the overall plan. So at this time, staff would recommend approval of the site plan for the 8,260 square foot retail building, and forward this on to city council, pending any comments or direction specified by the commission.
Thanks, Shane. Is there anybody representing the applicant would like to share something with the commission? Anything additional? Seeing none, I will open this to the public. If there's any public comment on this item, please come forward. Seeing none from the public, I'll close that to public comment and bring it back to the commission for a motion or discussion. I guess my just general comment is it seems pretty straightforward. It's followed along all the things that we've done on the previous iterations of the project, so I don't see any problems personally.
Yeah, it looks pretty straightforward. I would move to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote. And are we,
Brad,
I would vote yes on this, Marty.
thank you, Brad. And mine doesn't seem to be working either. I vote yes also. So we have all ayes on that, so that motion does carry. Our next item is a Highway 1 District Site Plan Review Amendment, and this item Shane will be introducing, but I have to abstain on this item as I have a conflict, and I'm going to pass the chair to Commissioner Saul for this item.
All right, thanks, Shane.
Thank you. Again, this is another project that was pretty recent before the commission. This is a Highway 1 District Site Plan Review on Lot 2 of Gateway Park. This 4-acre site is located at the northeast corner of West Ridgeway Avenue and Hudson Road. If you remember, this was recently approved through the commission back in May and approved by City Council in June for a new DQ restaurant and a new convenience store and auto service center on this lot. Shortly after council approved it, the Dairy Queen corporate office had asked the developer to make some modifications to the site plan, mainly being some shift in the parking area. They wanted to separate the drive-through lane. You can see this is the approved plan, and you can see that the parking area and the drive-through area were all kind of incorporated into one. After this was approved and the corporate office reviewed it, they wanted to see the drive-through lane separated, and then also the building shifted a little bit to the south, in which I'll go over some of those main changes. But what you're seeing here was the approved plan. You can see the restaurant on the west side of the site, the convenience store and auto service center on the eastern side with that gas canopy in the middle, the main entrance off of Cyber Lane, and then that secondary access from what would be the Holiday Inn site to the north. Those won't change. Nothing is really changing with as far as the access goes. Actually, nothing is changing on the convenience store site itself. Mainly the changes are going to happen right around the restaurant area. So that's what I'll go into a little bit of detail and inform the commission on. Again, so the image on the left was the approved plan, and the image on the right is the revised site plan. So one of the main changes is they wanted to create a separated drive-through lane, which would then kind of keep the drive-through traffic out of the parking area for the eat-in patrons. So they created a separate drive lane which separates that parking area. One of the other things they did is on the original plan, their trash enclosure was at the kind of the southeast corner of that area. What they did is by moving the building a little further south, it gave them some extra room north of the building to move the trash enclosure, which staff believes is a positive effect because one, it moves it away from being visible from any of the roadways. It's basically behind the building now, still will be within an enclosure. We feel that is a good change. And then again, there's making some changes to the parking. So on the image on the left, you can see they showed there was 8 parking stalls on the south side of the property, south of the building, and there was 11 parking stalls east of the building where the drive-through was. What they did is they eliminated those parking stalls on the south and east side, and then created a row of parking on the north side of the lot for 11 parking stalls. There will be 2 parking stalls located just next to the trash enclosure. And then what they did is they added more parking stalls to the west side of the building, and that will be two-way traffic now. And there's a total of 19 stalls there. So the actual number of parking stalls was 42 on both site plans, so that number's not changing. They're just moving around where some of that parking is to accommodate that separated drive-through lane. One of the other things on the original site plan, they were showing a trail connection at the northwest corner of the building. They're moving that to the south side of the building. You can see here on the circled image, they're moving that that trail crossing to the south side. One, for 2 reasons. One, you don't have to cross the drive-through lane and the parking lot lane. And then 2, they noticed that there was a pretty steep grade difference at that northwest corner. Whereas this area here on the south side is relatively flat, so it'll make it a lot easier for pedestrians or bicyclists to get off the trail and access the site. So again, and then it's a shorter area. You won't have to cross through the parking lot and the drive-through lane. You just have to cross the one drive-through lane to get to the building. With that, they did revise their landscaping plan, and they did revise the landscaping plan for the whole site. Again, they're showing there's things in the ordinance that we look for as far as street trees. You gotta have parking lot trees, perimeter trees around the parking lot. The total site points required is 5,446. The previous plan that was approved showed 8,100 points, and this plan, updated plan, shows less points at 7,240. However, that change was due to, the previous plan showed a lot of grass, Carl Forester grass, and there was a lot of that. And what they did is they went back and removed some of that and put in more larger shrubs, hardier shrubs to kind of screen that, the parking area along West Ridgeway Avenue. So the plants are bigger, they're gonna be hardier, so that reduced the number. So the points are going down slightly, but we feel that it's an overall, better change to include some of those hardier shrubs that will help screen that parking lot a little bit more. And you can see it still well meets the site points. So, and then same with the open space in the district. 15% of the sites required to be in open space. The previous plan was at 27.7%. Actually, with this change, it bumps it up a little bit to almost 30% open space. So at this time, we've reviewed the site plan. We recommend approval and forward this on to City Council, subject to any comments or direction by the commission.
Thanks, Shane. We'll open up to the applicant. Is there someone here who wants to represent the applicant? Seeing none, is there anyone from the public who would like to comment on this? All right, we'll bring it back to the commission. Any questions or comments?
I really think that this new design enhances overall pedestrian and bike safety as well as traffic flow, so I would move to approve the amended site plan.
All right, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any other further discussion? All right, seeing none, let's go ahead and vote.
I would vote to approve.
And I'm abstaining as it's not registering.
All right, motion carried. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Leanne. Our final item of new business tonight is a Park Ridge Estates final plat. And David, I believe that you're introducing this one.
Thank you, Mr. Holtz. This is the final plat for the Park Ridge Estates at the north end of Lakeshore Drive. And last summer, October timeframe, the commission and council looked at a rezoning of this from A1 to R1, and that went through both bodies and approved in November. And then the preliminary plat was followed right after that. So the Planning and Zoning Commission and council approved the preliminary plat for this area. So we're looking at the final plat. The developer's kind of been working on the site here recently and got some improvements put in and continue to do that. So again, at the north end of Lakeshore Drive, it's a 20-acre parcel, and this includes 6 new residential lots for single-family development. So just kind of going through some plat details on this. It includes a roughly 350-foot extension of Lakeshore Drive to a cul-de-sac. Lots 1 through 6 are the developable lots. They're roughly 9 acres. Outlot A, which is up in the upper left corner of that drawing, which is the southwest corner of the plat, that's going to be deeded to the property to the west for additional yard areas. And then we've got some sensitive areas around the north and eastern edge of the plat, which is again another roughly 9 acres. And those are the steep slopes, the ravines, the wetlands, and the floodplain through there. So the floodplain does not touch any of the platted lots. They're located in those outlots B through F, and those are going to be set aside for what we call a conservation easement. And those are really going to be transferred to those adjoining property owners. So lot 4 will get outlot F and so on. So those are the ideas for the conservation easements. That's going to be identified as a separate document that's attached to the plat. It's basically no build area, non-disturbed area, kind of maintain those wooded features and slopes. Outlots G and H are identified as storm sewer or stormwater detention areas where all the flow is going to, and I'll go into that here in a little bit. And then since lot 1 is going to own outlot C, we want to show an access through outlot H. Throwing all these letters at you, but that's identified as that star there. So just some sort of easement through that outlot H needs to be identified, so those people, if they need to get down there, that's provided through that area. So we'll make sure that's identified on the plat as it goes through to council. And then we have an access easement located in outlot B, and that's identified in those yellow arrows. So that'll come off of Lakeshore Drive, kind of skirt around the south side of that and open up. And that's actually for the maintenance of the dam structure there. Let me take you to this picture. This is a zoom in. You can see the dam structure there north of the lake, and which is down at the southeast corner of the plat. So there's really no easement to that dam right now in this plat. So this plat does create that easement from Lakeshore Drive. So it kind of skirts around the house there on the right side of the roadway. So it gets access down into that dam. It also provides access to that other stormwater detention pond for maintenance, and that's provided to anyone that needs to be back down there. So the Lakewood Hills Association will be able to get down there and make modifications, repairs if needed. DNR, the city, it's basically open to anyone that needs to get down in that area. So that is a new access that's created from this plat, and that's going to be on there. So looking at detention features and stormwater, we have a couple of basins, again, located at the north end of the cul-de-sac and one off the east side of the plat. And just kind of going through some of those details. Current stormwater, it actually flows off the north end of the existing street, and it kind of runs at a diagonal down through that outlot B, which is in a pipe and overland. Well, that measure kind of creates some erosion issues down by the spillway, I'm going to call it, of the dam there at the corner of the plat. So those elements are going to be removed, and everything's going to flow in the street and into the existing pipe, storm sewer, that's been put in. And actually, it'll funnel along the north side of outlot B down to that detention basin that's identified in that dashed area. So there's going to be a pipe underground, and there's going to be overland flow for any additional stormwater that is in that area. So they'll kind of be collected in that detention basin. Along the south side of the plat, there along lot 6, there's going to be a swale created to capture all that water that's coming from the west and the southwest, and that'll be created into that swale, and it'll overland flow into the street, and again, follow that route down to outlot H in that detention basin. Moving along, any excess flow from the street will kind of move to the north into the other detention basin. And then all the flow from lots 1, 2, and 3 will flow into H and then release into the ravine. And then the remaining parts of the lot will go into the street and then flow into the other detention basin. So this stormwater plan was reviewed. It's been accepted. It captures everything from the site. Basically, it captures everything from the west too, and then is controlled in the street. It's controlled in the storm sewers, and then goes into those basins, and it collects in the basins, and then it releases into the ravine at the controlled rate according to our standards. So moving along, staff recommends approval of this final plat. It was consistent with the preliminary plat. Before we go to city council, we want to make sure that any comments from the Planning and Zoning Commission is included. Again, that conservation easement, that's actually a separate document that'll be attached to the plat. So we want to make sure we have that and signed. That'll be a recorded document. There is also some language in the deed of dedication that calls out, but that easement itself is more detailed, and that'll be an ongoing and perpetual easement for those property owners. These 6 lots will be constructed with fire sprinkler, residential sprinkler systems according to the fire code and the building code. Again, identify that access easement on the plat to get through that outlot. And those are pretty minor details we can have ready for council. Again, the necessary construction documents, we're working with the engineer and developer to make sure those are submitted and reviewed and approved before it goes to council. And there's that access easement I talked about. We want to make sure that's created accordingly so we can get trucks and maintenance vehicles down there for the dam and structure. So we want to make sure that that's sloped accordingly as part of the final grade. So make sure that's on the plat and it's easily accessible and transferable for all city vehicles or other vehicles that need to be in there. And then any other recommendations and technical requirements for that. So.
Right. Thanks, David. Is there anybody here representing the applicant that we could give us an
Marty, I
update?
just want to let you know I'm
Oh, I'm sorry,
abstaining
yeah.
from this item.
Yeah, thanks. Note that Wingert is abstaining on this item.
Hi there, good evening. I'm Steve Trosky with CGA Engineers, planning project manager on the project. It's pretty complex. We've been working closely with the planning staff and the engineering staff to get it to this point, and so I'm just here to answer any technical questions you may have about the plat. Thank you for looking at this a number of times.
Thank you, Steve. Any questions for, at the moment? If there are, we'll grab you. At this point, I would open it up to anybody in the public who would like to make a comment. Please come forward and state your name and address.
Tammy Stahl, 1009 Lakeshore Drive. And I originally was concerned that you were trying to develop the lot in the floodplain when I received notice Saturday and found out that that's not the case. But in spite of that, I thought I would come just with a few concerns I have. One, I didn't feel at the time that the water flow that was coming all the way down Lakeshore Drive was being completely addressed in this development, and now the water flow is being blocked. And I wanted to make sure that, well, I'm concerned about it before the work is done on the street of Lakeshore Drive to handle the water that's coming through that direction. So that still is a concern. I'm glad that this is not about the floodplain, but it's still a concern to me. And then also, I had found out that you are working with the association, or Brian Wingert is, with tree removal, because we haven't had any access all summer long to work on tree removal and things that we had planned through the summer. And so have not been able to do anything by the deadlines that we had because of that. And then also we noticed that the drains that were originally there are gone, but there are crevices that are left and rocks have been moved with the dam, and so we're hoping that they will be replaced and things will be restored back there. so the dam isn't compromised. With that being said, I just have to say, we've gone through incredible inconvenience over the summer, but the workers have been very polite, and they've tried to work with us, so I appreciate that very much. So,
Thank you, Tammy. Steve, do you want to address any of the, I think Tammy's question about what's going on, not during the construction phase with some of those water issues?
Sure, well, Kelker Excavating and Grading is out there on site working on the infrastructure. They'll be wrapping up shortly. I know there's a big pile of earth out there, and that will be moved. Obviously, we're bonding out for the rest of those improvements, but we're kind of nearing the finish line for those infrastructure items. As far as the rocks go, our intent and the contractor's intent is to make everything back to what it was as far as the safety of that dam goes. I know Brian's he's had some conversations with them about some of those rock issues around the dam. As far as drainage, it meets the city's code. We're accepting off-site water. We're accommodating that in our stormwater plan, and so it'll actually be an improvement over what's out there today. Hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll close it to the public and bring it back to the commission for comment or motion. Just note that it's been quite involved in getting all these outlots and detention basins and everything organized on that. And I think I appreciate all the efforts for the conservation and the retention, and also taking care of some of that existing runoff that's not party to that site. So it looks like it's a good solution to me.
Looks like they've done a great job of working with the problem and helping as much as they can. So I would move to push this forward.
Is there a second?
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote.
I would vote yes, Marty.
Thank you, Brad, and I will vote yes as well, as my machine does not want to cooperate. So we have unanimous, all eyes on that with the Wingert abstention. So that motion carries. That completes our new business for tonight. Are there any commission updates? Karen, anything?
No, just other than to ask a question. I know it's summertime, and we've got vacations and various things. We were scrambling a little bit at the end of the day to make sure we had a quorum tonight, because we're down a commissioner with Deb stepping down from the commission. So if people know that they're going to be gone, or can let me know either right now for the next meeting, or coming up the next few days, if you can let me know, so we can make plans for that.
Any word on a new commission member yet?
No word yet.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
All right.
I plan to be here next meeting, so.
Yeah, as far as I know, I'm here for the foreseeable meetings. If there's no other business, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.